Hi, DJ Tina here, host of HMTV Canada Easing. On the phone with me today is Steve from Mindset X. Hey Steve, how are things?
I'm good, Tina. How are you?
Good. Having listening to some of your sounds, I couldn't believe how Hearsay reminds me of a movie, Wishmaster. Atmosphere seems to have more of a metal twist, Dark and Cold has a bluesy twist, and Box, which is the one I favor, offers up more of an industrial metal sound. I like how your music varies from each song track. Congratulations on your recent release of Thread. I find this CD interesting. It has more of a polished sound. Can you tell us about your new album Thread and its journey it's taken from recording, mixing, and mastering the CD?
Sure. Basically, Thread was kind of a departure for us musically as well. I mean, we like to kind of, keep things varied, like you just said, with the, each song kind of has a different characteristic with it. And, we hope two things with that number one, it keeps us interested in what we're doing and presents a challenge to us to try different things. And number two is hopefully, the listeners don't get bored, and, on a personal level, when I go see a concert, I like to see, a band that, mixes it up, and I think that's what we were striving for. As far as Thread goes, we recorded Thread last year. We started in the fall and finished sometime in late February, early March, and released it in April. So it's been out for about 8 months now. It's doing very well, surprisingly well, and it was a long recording process for Thread. It definitely had we had a lot of time to kind of sit down and think about what we wanted to write and how we wanted to record it. We kind of lucked out in that sense with a studio that we knew. So that was a beautiful thing to be able to, to do the tracks 18,000 times and not have to worry about, being rushed out of the studio. So I think that definitely helped and created some, different tracks on Thread, which I think, they vary from track to track, and I think that's what we were shooting for.
Who is the current lineup of Mindset X?
Well, it's me, Stephen Scott. I play guitar and I sing in the band. Jerry Houle plays bass, and he also sings, and we have Adam Cody on drums, who doesn't sing at all.
And who writes your lyrics?
In the beginning, it was pretty much mostly me, but with Thread, it was kind of collaboration. A lot of it was done via email. Someone would come up with something, that they thought was pretty cool, and we'd email back and forth, and, sooner or later, we'd have a complete song. We do it a little differently, I think. We actually write lyrics first before we actually write music, so it just works for us that way.
I find your lyrics deep in the relationships about social issues, and more suggestive in questioning in Day After Day and Dark Cold. What inspires the members or motivates them to write such deep-rooted emotional songs?
We're not really an AC/DC jet kind of band, per se. Not that we don't like that stuff or not listen to it. It's just, growing up, I think all three of us were into bands that really wrote something that meant something to you, that you'd listen to a song and it would kind of, maybe change your way of thinking about something or give you a different view on the world or a relationship or, whatever you're writing about at the time. But when we write, I think it's just a reflection of the bands that we grew up with and the kind of road that we, chose to take.
Has the band completed all of its music production of Thread, or has the band have anybody helping them mix and master the CD?
We had a really, really cool guy, really intelligent guy named Brian Sack, who actually mixed and recorded for us. So, we had a hand in it, of course, because we were there at the studio. But we once we were done recording, we kind of let him, go off and do his own little thing with it. And, there were certain things we'd come back, and if we didn't agree on a certain thing, then we tried something different. But once the basic tracks were done, we pretty much let him, go with the flow. There's so many guitar tracks on this album, so it took a long time to get the basic tracks done. We were talking months, but after that, it took a couple of months for Brian to kind of, sit down and pull the vision of what he wanted to sound like, and we let him do it.
I find Mindset X Trio, the band, and all of its songs well mastered. With their art of producing music, also, this great quality comes out in the band's sounds playing live, which can be seen in your recent videos. Who does all your video production? And will you be making more musical videos from the release of Thread?
Yeah, definitely. We're actually in process of doing a music video for Box, which hopefully will be out by the end of the year. As far as the production goes, the original, the music videos, we have a guy who we're with, who we call Ash, which actually is his name, but we take that from the Evil Dead movies. It's a long story. Anyway, he's pretty much a producer of videos, and that's what he does. That's his passion, just like music is our passion, and we get along with him, and we think he's got great visions. And we were very happy with Atmosphere, portraying that tongue-in-cheek version of a music rock video, and it worked out well for us, and I think, some people got it, some people didn't, but we like the style of work, and we're going to continue to work with him down the road, hopefully.
Curious, which song tracks from Mindset X is getting the most airplay and creating a buzz in the media currently?
At first, it actually was the title track, Red, but we made a decision afterwards to actually, from fans' perspective and from people telling us, it's hard to go on the inside and look on the outside, so we're leaning towards Box right now as the single of singles, so.
Has the band been on any tours since the release of Thread or played any musical festivals?
We've played. We're playing a couple times a week everywhere around New England. We're trying to get down the East Coast and hopefully to the West Coast within the next year or so as well. We played a bunch of festivals, done some TV things. We just played a thing called PFG TV, which is up in New Hampshire, which it's a really cool thing that someone from Rock 101 does. And it's a cable act thing, and it's also a thing.
Have you opened up for any other bigger artists or played with any other bigger bands?
We've done a couple of cool little things around here. We did Days of New. We opened up for them. King's X once, and a bunch of no Stains or Godsmacks yet, but we're working on it.
Okay, with regard to the tours and the festivals that you've been attending, how has the outcome been for the band in selling CDs and merchandise?
CD sales and merchandise has been fantastic, to be honest with you. Each show is different. It depends on the club, the night where you're actually playing, like any business really per se. But it's been going. Thread has done very well for us, and we really can't complain about it. For what it is, and we know that it's an album that you need to listen to a couple of times to get, and we know that. We knew that going into it. So it seems like once people, see the band live once or twice and really get into the CD, they buy stuff. That's pretty much how it works. And, that we're hoping that we did something right, with that, because we definitely want to be the band that actually lives off what we're doing.
One of your quotes from your MySpace blog, "We love to create and we don't give a shit about fashions, trends, or if any of that makes other crap that makes the business in general suck, and that's the problem. It turns into a business." But can you elaborate on this topic?
Yeah, the three of us do this because this is what we love to do. We love to create and we love to play music, and we don't really give a crap about what the scene is at the time. If it's a new metal scene, if it's a grunge scene, if it's this scene, it's that scene. We do what we do, and we hope that people are going to like it and get into it, and that's what we continue to do. And we're not big pop guys, so we're not looking at it as a pop perspective or writing the 3-minute and 14-second perfect single. That's not us, and it's not what we're about. And I think that in general, in a sense, kind of kills the music scene, because not everyone listens to pop, not everyone is really into that, and unfortunately that's what's portrayed on MTV and VH1. If it's not this certain way, then you suck. So it's more of a looking back to the the 70s and the early 80s of certain brands of music, what it was, and kind of writing those 8-minute songs if you wanted to, or going about that stuff. And it should be, an artist should have that freedom to be able to do that and not locked away by what the record companies say. And I think that's pretty much the gist of it.
When I read that MySpace blog, what I got out of it was Mindset X is all about the music, and the band has proven this well through the art of playing the music live and producing the music as dedicated musicians. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got from your music as well when I was listening to your lyrics and your music and studying your videos.
The basic gist of it is we all believe that music is a very powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotten people into wars, and it's gotten people out of wars, and it has so much power behind it that we just don't really believe in the whole mass production of bubblegum pop, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Do you know what I really like about and what I get out of music is the lyrics. It's somehow, if the lyrics touch some part of my life or something that I've been through, then that becomes one of my favorite songs.
I agree, and that's definitely the gist of what we're about, and that's the bands, those are the kind of bands that we grew up with, and that's the tradition that we wanted to continue, because it's far and few between nowadays.
Do you feel the music industry today has been lost to just a business or fashion or trend?
I think that to a certain degree it has. I think you're always going to have your people, like us, quote unquote, rebelling against it per se, because you're always going to have people like you and people like me who really do listen to the lyrics and really do, try to take something out of that, and it's not just about the melody hook, So in a sense, yeah, it's definitely gotten worse. This conversation about this, we get the whole iTunes and all that stuff, and it's good and bad in certain aspects. It's, like everything else. But you kind of have to go with the times and figure out your own way to kind of, promote what you believe in. So that's what we're doing.
Do you know what I've been finding with the current market? That everything's more diversified. That you have mini markets. You have your downloads. You have your iTunes. You have people that still want CDs, and you have the odd person that still wants that vinyl collection. So it seems to be a mix.
Right, and that's good and bad. It's good that bands who don't have $3 million behind them can get their music out with very, very little money. That's a fabulous thing, but it's also a flooded market now. So, it's very tough to separate, yourself from the rest of the pack, per se.
There's so much competition.
Right, exactly.
Before we wrap up our interview, can you tell our audience where they can purchase Mindset X CDs and merchandise online through the internet?
Yeah, you can just go to mindsetx.com, and all the links are actually right there. Or you can go to our MySpace, which is MySpace/MindsetX, and everything's pretty much right there, right when you get to the page.
Any last words?
Pretty much, we appreciate anyone that listens to us and comes to the show, because this is our dream and what we love to do, and hopefully we're doing it, to your satisfaction. If we're not, sorry.
When can we see you in Canada?
I would love to get to Canada. You know why? Because Rush is one of my all-time favorite bands, so I would love to get up to Canada and actually do a show. I will probably say, if I have to put a timetable on it, I would probably say sometime in mid to late winter, maybe early spring, depending how crappy the winter is.
Actually, it's good. We've had 21-degree weather, Celsius, and it's like summer weather in central Ontario right now.
Good for you.
And then in the Toronto area. Like today you could walk out with a t-shirt and jeans and or shorts.
Yeah, I'm actually from New Hampshire, so I'm not that far away from you guys. It's only, we can get there in 5 hours, 6 hours, I think.
Right.
So it's kind of the same weather here. It's actually quite balmy right now, comparative, which is a beautiful thing. But next week it's going to snow.
Well, you never know.
Exactly.
Just, you don't want to say that because it just might happen. Okay, I want to give Joe a huge shout out and a big thank you from Rat Pack Records for allowing HMTV Canada E-Zine to interview Mindset X. And Steve, thank you. You rock.
Anytime.